The signal. The faint signal pulsed across the void of space, traveling for 3 years before reaching humanity's furthest outpost. On Europa, Jupiter's icy moon, the Deep Space Monitoring Station picked up the unusual transmission during a routine scan of the Orion arm. Dr. Olivia Wright stared at her console, adjusting her glasses as she studied the pattern. The signal wasn't random noise. It contained structure, mathematics, and unmistakable signs of intelligence. "Ben, come look at this," she called to her colleague, Dr. Ben Foster, who floated over in the low-gravity environment. "Another false positive?" he asked, leaning over her shoulder. "No," Olivia said quietly. "This is different. The pattern repeats with variations that follow prime number sequences. It's artificial." For 3 days, Olivia barely left her station. She ran every verification protocol in the book, then invented new ones. Sleep came in short bursts, her dreams filled with the mysterious signal's rhythmic pulses. By the 3rd day, dark circles rimmed her eyes, but excitement kept her moving. "I've isolated a translation matrix," she announced to the station's small crew during their morning briefing. "It's not complete, but the message is becoming clear." Station Commander Kate Lawson looked skeptical. "You're certain this isn't a glitch?" "Positive," Olivia replied. "The signal originates from the Proxima Centauri system, and it's not just a hello, it's a distress call." The room fell silent. As Olivia explained, the message described a massive refugee fleet of an alien species fleeing through space. Their pursuers were relentless, their ships damaged, and their life support systems failing. They needed help, desperately. "We should alert Earth Command immediately," Ben suggested. Commander Lawson nodded slowly. "This is beyond our jurisdiction." "If you're right, Olivia, this could be humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence." "They're dying out there," Olivia said, her voice breaking slightly. "While we discuss jurisdiction, within hours, the transmission was sent to Earth. The United Space Coalition, the governing body for all human space operations, called an emergency session. Representatives from every nation connected virtually as scientists presented the evidence. Admiral Frank Wilson, head of the USC, spoke directly to Olivia via video link. "Dr. Wright, your certainty about this signal is noted. But are you absolutely sure this isn't a misinterpretation? The stakes are enormous. Admiral, I've dedicated my career to studying communication patterns. This signal wasn't meant for us, we intercepted it. But it's authentic. Someone out there needs help, and they're running out of time." The debate among world leaders was surprisingly brief. Despite centuries of speculating about hostile alien intentions, when faced with actual aliens in distress, humanity's response was swift. 6 hours after Olivia's presentation, Admiral Wilson announced the decision. The United Space Coalition will launch a rescue mission. The USC Horizon under Captain Sam Donovan will lead the operation. News of the mission spread quickly across Earth and its colonies. Captain Donovan, a veteran explorer with 15 years of space experience, was already preparing his ship when reporters caught up with him at the lunar spaceport. "Captain, why risk human lives for unknown aliens?" one journalist asked. Donovan paused, considering his words carefully. "Because someone asked for help. Because they need it. Would we be worthy of the stars if we ignored a cry for help simply because it comes from someone different than us?" As the USC Horizon prepared for our departure, Olivia received new orders. She was being transferred from Europa to join the mission as communications specialist. Her expertise with the alien signal made her essential to the operation. Looking out at Jupiter's massive form one last time before boarding her transport, Olivia felt a mix of fear and anticipation. Humanity was about to answer a call from the stars, and she would be there when they did. The mission parameters captain Sam Donovan stood in the Horizon's circular command center, studying the holographic star map that highlighted their route to Proxima Centauri. His weathered face reflected the blue light as he considered the enormous challenge ahead. 14 days, he said quietly. That's all the time we have before the pursuing fleet catches up to the refugees. The ship's officers gathered around him, each selected for specific expertise. Chief Engineer Allison Murphy was a small woman with perpetual oil stains on her hands despite the ship's automated cleaning systems. Her work with quantum propulsion had earned her 3 scientific medals and the nickname Miracle Murphy among the crew. The Horizon wasn't built for rescue operations, Allison pointed out. We'll need to convert Cargo Bay 3 into a medical facility. Medical Director Daniel Garcia nodded in agreement. With salt and pepper hair and steady hands, he had dedicated the past 5 years to the emerging field of xenobiology, the study of potential alien life forms. My team is preparing for every possible biology we might encounter. Without samples, it's mostly educated guesses. Security Chief Eric Mills stood slightly apart from the others. His military posture never quite relaxed even after 7 years of space service. We should assume the worst about their pursuers. If they can drive an entire species to flee, they're not likely to welcome our interference. Captain Donovan pointed to several locations on the star map. Our mission has 3 objectives. First, reach the alien fleet before their pursuers. Second, provide technical assistance to repair their ships. Third, escort them to neutral territory in the Tau Ceti system. Navigation Officer Lisa Patterson spoke up. Even with our newest drive systems, reaching them in time will push the engines beyond safety parameters. Then we push them, Donovan replied simply. Lives depend on it. The briefing continued as each department outlined their preparations. The Horizon carried a crew of 217, none of whom had expected to make first contact with an alien species when they'd signed on. Yet not a single crew member had requested transfer when the mission was announced. After the meeting, Donovan retreated to his quarters. The small room contained few personal items, a photo of the Colorado mountains where he'd grown up, a well-worn paper book of poetry, and a small wooden box holding medals he never displayed. His communication panel blinked, indicating an incoming transmission from Admiral Wilson. Captain, I won't sugarcoat this, the Admiral said when his image appeared. The Coalition is divided on this mission. Some nations believe we're overextending ourselves, risking too much for unknown entities. Donovan's expression remained neutral. Has our mission been compromised? No. You have full authorization to proceed. But be aware, if this goes badly, there will be severe political consequences. With respect, Admiral, I'm more concerned with the beings who will die if we don't reach them in time. Wilson nodded slowly. That's why you're in command, Sam. Good luck. As the Horizon prepared for departure, Dr. Olivia Wright arrived from Europa. Captain Donovan personally greeted her at the docking bay. Your work made this mission possible, he said as they walked toward the bridge. Without your translation, Matrix, we'd still be debating whether the signal was genuine. Olivia smiled tiredly. I'm just glad we're responding. In human history, ignoring distress calls rarely looks good in retrospect. The ship's massive engines began their warm-up sequence as the crew completed final preparations. Medical supplies were inventoried, engineering teams ran diagnostics on repair equipment, and security protocols were reviewed and enhanced. Standing on the bridge as the countdown initiated, Captain Donovan addressed the crew through the ship's communication system. We are about to embark on the most important mission of our lives, he said simply. We carry with us not just the hopes of those who sent the distress call, but the honor of humanity itself. Whatever we find out there, let's show them the best of what humans can be. The Horizon departed Earth orbit with a brilliant flare of energy, accelerating toward an uncertain encounter with a desperate alien fleet and the unknown enemy that pursued them. First contact. The USC Horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. The bridge crew fell silent as the main viewscreen revealed the alien fleet for the first time. Dozens of massive ships drifted in, tight formation, their designs unlike anything humans had created. The vessels appeared to be constructed of overlapping metallic scales that shifted and realigned constantly. Golden light pulsed along their hulls in rhythmic patterns. But even from a distance, the damage was clear. Several ships showed gaping wounds in their outer layers, while others trailed clouds of escaping atmosphere. Scan for life signs, Captain Donovan ordered quietly. Thousands on each ship, replied Science Officer Kelly Ward. but the flagship is showing critical power fluctuations. Their main reactor appears unstable. Olivia Wright worked quickly at her communication station. I'm broadcasting our greeting message on the frequencies from their distress call. For 30 tense seconds, nothing happened. Then a burst of data flooded Olivia's console. They're responding, she said, her voice rising with excitement. The translation matrix is working. They're thanking us for coming. The flagship's reactor suddenly flared on their sensors, causing alarms to sound across the bridge. That reactor is going critical, Chief Engineer Murphy warned. They have minutes at most. Tell them we're coming to help, Donovan ordered, already moving toward the door. Prepare emergency teams, Dr. Garcia. We may need medical evacuation protocols. Within minutes, the Horizon positioned itself alongside the failing alien flagship. The rescue team, led by Captain Donovan himself, boarded through an emergency docking tube. They stepped cautiously into an environment unlike anything they had trained for. The alien ship's interior was bathed in amber light. The air felt thick and smelled faintly of cinnamon. Gravity was slightly stronger than Earth normal, making each step require extra effort. The rescue team rounded a curved corridor and stopped in amazement. 3 beings stood waiting for them. They were roughly humanoid but taller, nearly 7 feet in height. Their skin shimmered with iridescent colors that shifted and flowed like oil on water. Instead of hair, delicate tendrils extended from their scalps, gently moving as if underwater. Their eyes were large with vertical pupils that widened as they observed the humans. The tallest alien stepped forward. Its skin pulsed with deep blue waves that traveled from its head downward. I am Supreme Navigator Thal of the Veshrani Exodus Fleet, it said, the words coming through the translation devices with surprising clarity. Your arrival is unexpected salvation. Captain Donovan removed his helmet in a gesture of trust. I'm Captain Sam Donovan of Earth's United Space Coalition. We received your distress call and came to help. Earth, Thal repeated, the tendrils on its head curling slightly. A world we know only from distant scans. Your species has barely ventured beyond your own star system. That's true, Donovan acknowledged. Yet you answered our call when 100 more advanced species ignored us. Thal continued, its skin shifting to a golden hue. Our sensors detected your ship's approach. We know you traveled at dangerous speeds to reach us in time. Before Donovan could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Alarm sounds echoed through the corridors. The reactor, Thal said urgently. Our engineers could not stabilize it after the attack. We were preparing to abandon this vessel. Let our engineers look at it, Donovan offered. Chief Murphy has experience with various reactor types. There is no time for your people to learn our systems, another Veshrani said, its skin flashing with red pulses of what seemed like fear or doubt. Donovan tapped his communication badge. Murphy, the flagship's go. Reactor is going critical. Can you assist remotely? If they can give me access to their systems, I can try, came the engineer's immediate response. Thal hesitated only briefly before leading them toward the ship's control center. We did not expect such courage from humans, the alien said softly. As they hurried through the corridors, Donovan's reply was simple. Helping those in need isn't about technological advancement. It's about being human. The enemy approaches Chief Engineer Allison Murphy worked without stopping for 18 hours straight. Her team spread across the Veshrani fleet, teaching the aliens how to make emergency repairs with materials available on their ships. The Veshrani learned quickly, their color-shifting skin flashing with bright yellow tones that Murphy came to recognize as excitement or understanding. Their technology is incredible, Murphy told Captain Donovan during a brief rest period. She rubbed her tired eyes while gulping down a nutrition drink. The principles are similar to ours, but they've taken different evolutionary paths. Their ships are partially biological. The hull actually heals itself when given the right nutrients. Meanwhile, Dr. Garcia and his medical team face their own challenges. The Veshrani medical bay contained thousands of injured aliens in various states of distress. Their physiology was complex. They had 3 chambered hearts and blood that changed color based on oxygen levels. They're remarkably resilient, Garcia explained as he demonstrated to his team how to treat Veshrani wounds. Their cellular structure can reorganize to prioritize vital functions. But they're exhausted. Many haven't slept in what would be weeks by our standards. Captain Donovan spent most of his time with Supreme Navigator Thal, learning about the Veshrani culture and the nature of their flight. In the flagship's strategic center, Thal revealed holograms of their pursuers. The Krell, Thal said, the word translated with a tone of dread. The hologram showed sleek angular ships with protruding weapon arrays. They believe they alone were meant to achieve sentience. All other intelligent life is considered a cosmic error that must be corrected. Religious extremists? Donovan asked. Worse, they believe it is scientific fact. They have pursued this cleansing for thousands of years. Thal's skin darkened to a deep purple. Our civilization was peaceful. We had no weapons when they arrived. But they're specifically targeting your people, Donovan observed. There must be a reason. Thal hesitated, tendrils curling tightly against its head. Captain, there is something I have not yet shared. Before Thal could continue, Security Chief Mills burst into the room. Captain, we've detected ships entering the system, Mills reported tensely. 5 vessels, configuration unknown, approaching from the direction the Veshrani fled from. Thal's skin paled to almost white. Krell scout ships. They've found us sooner than expected. The tactical display showed the approaching vessels. They moved with precision that suggested advanced propulsion systems. How soon until they reach our position? Donovan asked. 3 hours at their current speed, Mills answered. And how much longer do we need to complete essential repairs to the Veshrani fleet? At least 12 hours, Captain, came Murphy's voice over the communication system. Donovan turned to Thal. What were you about to tell me? The alien leader's skin rippled with conflicting colors before settling into a determined blue shade. The Krell hunt us with special vigor because we possess knowledge they fear. Our ancestors discovered ancient technology, secrets that could threaten Krell supremacy. The data cores containing this knowledge are aboard our ships. You're saying we haven't just stepped into a rescue mission, Donovan said slowly. We've stepped into a war. I did not wish to deceive you, Thal replied. But yes, the Krell will now consider humanity their enemy as well. Mills studied the tactical display grimly. Captain, based on what we're seeing, their technology far exceeds our own. Even the Horizon's weapon systems would be ineffective against those scout ships, let alone their main fleet. How far behind are the rest of the Krell ships? Donovan asked. 7 days, Thal answered. But once the scouts confirm our position, they will accelerate. Captain Donovan looked between the alien leader and his security chief. The mission had just become vastly more complicated. What had begun as a humanitarian rescue was now potentially the first step in an interspecies conflict. Humanity had unwittingly placed itself between a desperate refugee fleet and an advanced enemy with a history of genocide. We need options, Donovan said finally, and we need them within 3 hours. The human solution Captain Donovan gathered his senior staff in the Horizons conference room as the Krell scout ships continued their approach. Holographic displays showed the enemy vessels' positions and the status of the Veshrani fleet's repairs. The mood was tense as each officer studied the data. Standard tactics won't work, Security Chief Mills stated plainly. Their ships can outmaneuver and outgun us. The Veshrani fleet is in no condition to fight, and we can't outrun them in the fleet's current state. Chief Engineer Murphy looked up from her tablet. The repairs are progressing, but we need more time. At least 10 more hours before the Veshrani ships can attempt faster than light travel. Time we don't have, Dr. Garcia added grimly. And we have thousands of injured Veshrani who can't be moved quickly. The room fell silent as the reality of their situation sank in. Supreme Navigator Thal stood by the window, its skin a muted gray of worry or fear. What about the ancient technology Thal mentioned? Science Officer Kelly Ward suggested. Could it help us? Thal's tendrils rippled with uncertainty. The data cores contain knowledge of technologies even we don't fully understand. We've protected this information for generations, but implementing it requires time and resources we don't have. Lieutenant Nicole Bennett, the ship's tactical officer, had been quiet until now. She was the youngest senior officer, known for thinking in unexpected directions. She studied the tactical display with narrowed eyes. "What if we don't fight them directly?" she asked suddenly. "What if we disrupt their ability to fight instead?" All eyes turned to her. "Explain," Donovan prompted. Bennett pointed to the display. "The Krell ships move with perfect coordination. Their formation hasn't varied by even a millimeter since we detected them. That level of precision suggests they rely heavily on navigation systems and communication between vessels." She turned to Thal. "Does the ancient knowledge include anything about communication systems or signal disruption?" Thal's skin flickered with quick bursts of yellow. "Yes. Among the data are theories about subspace harmonics that could potentially disrupt quantum-linked communications." Bennett's eyes lit up. "Then we have a chance. We could use the Veshrani knowledge to create a signal that would interfere with the Krell fleet's ability to coordinate." "A jamming signal?" Mills asked skeptically. "More sophisticated than that," Bennett replied. "Based on what we've seen of their technology, they likely use quantum entanglement for instantaneous communication. If we could create a disruption field that affects those quantum states..." Thal moved closer to the tactical display. "This could work. The ancient data includes methods to create resonance cascades in quantum fields. But we would need to broadcast from multiple points to create an effective field," Bennett continued. "If we place transmitters on 3 of the system's moons, we could create a triangulation effect that would blanket the entire approach vector." Captain Donovan studied the proposed positions. Each transmitter would need to be manually calibrated on site. That means sending teams to the surface of 3 different moons with the Krell approaching. The implications were clear to everyone in the room. It was an extremely dangerous mission. "How long would the disruption last?" Donovan asked. "Perhaps 6 hours, Thal estimated. Enough time for your engineers to complete the most critical repairs." Bennett nodded. "The Krell would eventually adapt, but it would give us the window we need." Donovan looked around at his crew. "I need 3 teams, each led by someone who can quickly learn how to calibrate these transmitters." Before he finished speaking, 7 officers had already raised their hands to volunteer. Bennett was the first, followed by 2 engineering specialists, a science officer, and 3 security personnel. The Veshrani leader's skin rippled with deep blue waves of emotion. "Your people volunteer for what could be a fatal mission, for aliens they just met?" "That's what humans do," Bennett replied simply. "We find solutions, especially when someone tells us something is impossible." Captain Donovan nodded with quiet pride at his crew. "Prepare the shuttlecraft. We have 3 hours to deploy these transmitters before the Krell scouts reach scanner range." Sacrifice and ingenuity. The 3 shuttlecraft departed the horizon, with minimal ceremony. Each carried a small team and one of the specially prepared transmitters built using the ancient Veshrani technology. Lieutenant Nicole Bennett led the team heading to the largest moon. Engineer Paul Wilson piloted the second shuttle toward a small, rocky moon closer to the system's sun. The third team, led by communications specialist Ryan Cooper, set course for a distant ice moon. Captain Donovan watched from the bridge as the shuttles grew smaller on the viewscreen. "Time until Krell scouts reach sensor range?" he asked. 2 hours, 14 minutes, Officer Mills replied grimly. On Bennett's shuttle, the mood was focused. Her team included 2 engineers and a security officer named Jason. They managed to land in a shallow crater that shielded them from direct scans. "The transmitter needs to be placed at the highest point within 1 kilometer," Bennett told her team as they donned their environmental suits. "We'll have 30 minutes of oxygen, so move quickly." The gravity was light, allowing them to carry the heavy equipment with relative ease. They climbed to a ridge overlooking their landing site. The landscape was barren, gray, and silent, a stark contrast to the life-or-death drama unfolding above them. "Beginning calibration sequence," Bennett said as they activated the transmitter. Her hands moved confidently across the alien controls as Thal guided her remotely through her headset. At the rocky moon, Wilson's team encountered more difficulties. The surface was unstable, constantly shifting under their boots. They lost precious minutes finding solid ground for the transmitter. We're behind schedule, Wilson reported breathlessly. The heat from the nearby sun is affecting the equipment. We need to build a shade barrier. Meanwhile, Ryan Cooper's team reached the ice moon without incident. Their transmitter was quickly set up and calibration began smoothly. Then Cooper's scanner picked up something alarming. "Captain," he called through the comm system, "we're detecting a Krell scout ship changing course. It's heading directly for our position." "They must have detected your shuttle on approach," Donovan replied. "How long until calibration is complete?" "At least 15 more minutes," Cooper answered. "Your shuttle is too exposed. Return to it immediately and relocate," Donovan ordered. Cooper looked at his team, then at the half-calibrated transmitter. "Negative, Captain. If we move now, we lose our window. The transmitter must be operational when the others activate, or the disruption field won't form properly." "Ryan, that's a direct order." Donovan's voice was sharp with concern. "Sir, I'll send the team back to relocate the shuttle. I'll stay to finish the calibration." Before Donovan could object further, Cooper directed his team members back toward their landing site. The Krell vessel was approaching rapidly. "Bennett to Cooper." Lieutenant Bennett's voice came through the comm. "Our transmitter is online. How's your status?" "Almost there," Cooper replied, fingers working rapidly on the controls. "Wilson, what's your status?" "Online in 3 minutes," came Wilson's strained voice. Cooper's scanner showed the Krell ship entering orbit around the ice moon. His shuttle lifted off in the distance, carrying his team to safety. He worked faster, knowing what would happen next. The first energy blast from the Krell ship struck the surface 2 kilometers away. The second hit closer, sending ice crystals showering over Cooper's position. "They've spotted me," he reported calmly. 90 seconds to complete calibration. On the horizon's bridge, the crew watched helplessly as the Krell ship fired again. This time the blast hit Cooper's position directly. His life signs flickered on the medical monitor. "I'm still here." Cooper's voice came through, weaker now. His suit had been breached, the moon's toxic atmosphere seeping in. 60 seconds. The final calibration required him to step outside the transmitter's protective field, fully exposing himself to both the Krell weapons and the atmosphere. "Ryan, there has to be another way," Captain Donovan urged. "No time," Cooper gasped. "Almost done." His oxygen levels dropped to critical as he made the final adjustments. The Krell ship prepared another barrage. "It's working," Wilson reported. Suddenly, "All 3 transmitters are synchronized. The disruption field is forming." Cooper's life signs were failing rapidly, but he managed one final transmission. "Tell them this is what humans do. We don't leave anyone behind, not even those we've just met." The disruption field bloomed across the system like an invisible wave. On the view screen, the approaching Krell ships began to drift off course, their perfect formation dissolving into chaos. The Vishrani refugee fleet departed the Proxima Centauri system, with the USC Horizon leading the way. Behind them, the Krell scout ships struggled to regain formation, their systems still affected by the disruption field. The human plan had worked, but Captain Donovan knew the advantage was temporary. "Status report on the refugee ships," Donovan requested, his voice showing little of the exhaustion he felt after 36 hours without sleep. "The main drives on 17 vessels are operational," Chief Engineer Murphy replied. 5 ships are being towed by the others. The repairs aren't pretty, but they'll hold. On the main view screen, the odd collection of ships moved in loose formation. The Vishrani vessels, with their shifting, scale-like hulls, contrasted sharply with the sleek human design of the Horizon. Together they made their way toward the Barnard's star system, the next waypoint on their journey to safety. Dr. Garcia entered the bridge, his medical uniform stained with fluids and colors humans had never seen before. "The Vishrani are stabilizing. They've adapted some of our medical techniques to their physiology with remarkable success." "And our casualties?" Donovan asked quietly. 7 injured during the repairs. Lieutenant Bennett's team returned safely. Wilson lost 1 crew member when their shuttle was damaged during takeoff. Garcia paused. "Cooper's sacrifice gave us this chance. His actions saved thousands." The bridge crew observed a moment of silence. Ryan Cooper's name had been added to the small memorial wall near the ship's entrance, the first casualty of humanity's first interstellar rescue mission. Security Chief Mills interrupted the moment. Captain, long-range sensors are picking up energy signatures. The Krell main fleet has adjusted course to intercept us. How long do we have? Donovan asked. At their current speed, they'll overtake us just before we reach Barnard's star. Supreme. Navigator Thal entered the bridge, its skin pulsing with anxious purple waves. The Veshrani leader had insisted on remaining aboard the Horizon to coordinate between the species. Captain Donovan, our sensors confirm your findings. The Krell fleet is larger than we anticipated, at least 30 warships. Donovan studied the tactical display. We can't outrun them. The refugee ships are too slow even with our repairs. We need another solution. For 3 days, the desperate race continued. The human and Veshrani engineers worked continuously to squeeze more speed from the damaged engines. Meanwhile, the Krell fleet gained steadily. As they approached the Barnard star system, disaster struck. The Krell Vanguard, 5 fast attack ships, appeared suddenly from behind a dense asteroid field. Evasive maneuvers, Donovan ordered, as the first energy weapons fired toward them. The Horizon moved to shield the civilian Veshrani ships, taking the brunt of the attack. The bridge shook violently as energy beams cut through their defensive shields. Direct hit on decks 5 through 8, Mills reported. Hull breach in Section 12. Emergency force fields are holding. Return fire, Donovan commanded. Horizon's weapons seemed pathetically inadequate against the advanced Krell ships, barely scratching their defenses. Another hit rocked the ship. Conduits burst overhead, showering the bridge with sparks. The lights flickered and emergency systems activated. Life support failing in sections 3 through 7, the computer announced calmly. Multiple casualties reported. In the damaged medical bay, Dr. Garcia worked frantically to save both human and Veshrani wounded. The ship's gravity fluctuated as power systems failed, causing equipment and patients to float momentarily before crashing down again. Chief Engineer Murphy was in the engine room, her face streaked with blood from a head wound. Captain, the main drive is failing. We can't take another direct hit. Donovan helped a fallen crew member into a seat before returning to the tactical display. The remainder of the Krell fleet would arrive within hours. Most of the Veshrani ships had escaped the initial attack, but the Horizon was taking devastating damage as it covered their retreat. Murphy, can you reroute power from life support to the shields? Donovan asked grimly. There was a pause before her response came. Yes, but that means losing everyone in the damaged sections. At least 40 crew members. Do it, Donovan ordered, his voice steady despite the weight of the decision. Give priority to the forward shield. We'll use the Horizon as a battering ram if necessary. As the Krell dreadnought approached for a killing blow, Captain Donovan made the hardest decision of his career. Prepare to separate the forward section. It will act as a decoy while the main body of the ship escorts the refugee fleet to safety. Thal's skin turned almost white with shock. You would sacrifice yourself and your crew? 40 of us against thousands of your people, Donovan replied simply. Sometimes being human means making impossible choices. Why, humans answered. The forward section of the USC Horizon drifted in space, its systems barely functional. Inside, Captain Sam Donovan and the remaining 16 crew members had entered emergency stasis chambers. Their life signs were faint but steady as the ship's computer preserved their essential functions with the last reserves of power. For 23 days, the damaged vessel tumbled through the void. Its distress beacon pulsed weakly, broadcasting a simple message on all frequencies. Then when power levels reached critical, the computer shut down all non-essential systems and went dormant. In the Tau Ceti system, the Veshrani refugee fleet had finally reached safety. 7 allied species had responded to their arrival, providing aid, supplies, and protection. The main body of the Horizon, commanded by Chief Engineer Murphy after the separation, had escorted them successfully despite heavy damage. Supreme Navigator, Thal stood before the assembled representatives of these allied worlds in a vast meeting chamber. Its skin rippled with solemn blue waves as it recounted the journey and the human sacrifice that had made their survival possible. The humans knew nothing of our people, Thal explained. They had never encountered any species beyond their own. Yet when they heard our call for help, they came without hesitation. A representative from a crystalline species known as the Orcs responded with skepticism. Perhaps they sought the ancient knowledge your people carry. Such technology would advance their civilization by centuries. They never asked for it, Thal replied simply. Not once. Their captain placed himself between our civilians and the Krell weapons. 40 of their people remained behind to ensure our escape. The chamber fell silent as the assembled representatives processed this information. Such behavior contradicted the cautious, self-preserving approach that most species adopted when first venturing into interstellar space. 3 days later, a patrol ship from the Madorian species detected a faint signal at the edge of the Barnard's star system. What they found was the drifting forward section of the horizon, tumbling slowly through space. Scans revealed the stasis chambers and the 16 survivors inside, including Captain Donovan. When they were revived aboard the Madorian vessel, the humans were weak but alive. Medical technology far beyond Earth's capabilities helped them recover quickly. Captain Donovan's first question upon waking was about the Veshrani fleet. They are safe, the Madorian doctor assured him. Your sacrifice allowed them to reach Tau Ceti. Not a sacrifice, Donovan corrected weakly. We did what was necessary. 2 weeks later, in the central chamber of the Tau Ceti diplomatic station, Captain Donovan stood before representatives of 27 different species. Many had traveled great distances to meet the humans who had risked everything for aliens they had just met. The eldest representative, a being of pure energy contained within a special environmental suit, posed the question that all wanted answered. We must understand, Captain Donovan. Why did humans answer this call when so many others refused? Your species is young, your technology limited. You could not have known if the Veshrani would ever repay this debt. Donovan looked around the room, meeting the various types of eyes, sensory organs, and perception devices that were focused on him. His answer became legendary throughout the galaxy. Throughout our violent history, humans learned one crucial lesson, that compassion isn't weakness, it's strength. We answered your call because we recognized ourselves in your plight. Because every time we've faced extinction, what saved us wasn't our technology or our weapons, but our stubborn refusal to abandon each other. If we'd ignored your distress signal, we would have betrayed everything that makes us human. The chamber remained silent for several moments after he finished speaking. Then one by one, the representatives stood or moved in their cultural gestures of respect. 6 months later, on the newly established Veshrani homeworld, construction was completed on a monument to the human crew. Built from materials gathered from both Earth and the Veshrani fleet, it stood at the center of their largest settlement. The monument depicted human and Veshrani hands reaching toward each other across the void of space. Inscribed at its base in 28 languages were the words that would define humanity's place among the stars. They came when no others would. They gave what could not be asked. They showed the galaxy that salvation often comes from the most unexpected places. As news of the rescue spread throughout known space, other human ships ventured beyond their solar system, greeted not with fear or suspicion but with curiosity and respect.